is it on then? So watch my mouth.
Yes.
Because I don't know how.
Or don't. And then
I know, and then everybody will be
marketing piece.
offended.
It's going up on you.
It is going on YouTube? It's people that have more than 200 or have 201 plus in their database. If you
have 201 in my database?
at least. If you at least, yeah, if you at least have that, you should be successful. I was just gonna say, this is very, you almost needed a paper puncher.
No, that looks awesome.
It's a testament to your patience.
It's kind of sad because like the professional one is really the one I made myself like collectible.
I think. This is where you go, you're welcome.
Yeah. I knew you were here somewhere. I've told her that I'm on her team. Okay, I just don't think my call. Oh, I just yeah, she is, you know, my business partner was talking about
Okay, I'm gonna make this as interactive as possible because I don't, I mean, I like to talk, obviously, I talk a lot. Tell me one of the things that either is great about what's going on with your buyers, you need help with your buyers, what is the first thing when I say, how's your buyers? I don't have any. I don't have any. What else?
I got buyers.
Come. Rates.
Because what they want, if they can't afford, they need help with finance,
Rates, programs.
I think my biggest thing for me is just all these different processes, going over and over and over how to handle buyer broker.
Yep.
And commission, essentially, because that's going to
BB.
be something that's going to be more complicated on the
Deep dive. Okay. I am a victim of ADHD. So if I'm bouncing all over the place, I apologize. I'm just giving you a heads up, it happens. So most of my buyers, I either know or they've been referred to me. And I usually meet them in a soft spot where it's coffee or if it's dinner, lunch, a snack in here to take them on a tour, to see the people I work with. I want them to feel comfortable with me, and I feel like if there's time for that, or if they're like, I want to see a house right now, I will bring the buyer broker, and I'm like, before we go in, let's just hurry and go over this. So I bring two, if it's just going to be like a sit down, let's get to know each other, what your wants, needs, all that mumbo jumbo is, I do take 2 folders with me. I take one for them with tons of stuff. So if it's a brand new, never owned, whatever, I definitely spend more time explaining the whole part of buying a house. But like there's the inspection people. I put 2 lenders in here, a female and a male. Some people prefer one or the other. And then, you know, the reading material for them to sleep, go to sleep with at night. You just want to toss around. That's what I give my buyers.
You pretty much know that they're all
Yeah. I have never gone and thought that I was competing for a buyer. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say your percentage of people is that really have the time, or who takes, or do you find that it's an phrasing of you helping them try to make the time mentally? Because I just find that I work with a lot of people who, it's not that they don't think it's important, but they sort of have to play past, sort of like in the way that you're saying that these people are kind of already working with you. Me too, and they're kind of already working. We're down
they've probably been looking on the internet for 6 months before they're like, okay, now I think I want to go.
And it's a two-income family, because they can afford a house, so they like don't have time to come further away with things, so like convincing is not something where long value, but it's kind of necessary.
Yes. I do have the people that work 7 days a week. And those are the people that I'm like, when you buy a house, it's kind of like a part-time job. Prepared for the time you're putting into it. This is going to be a part-time job. You just got to show up, and I will be as accommodating as possible. But also, I'm not going to kick somebody out of their house at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to show you a home. But that's when I break down, when is the best time? Like, if you're only available at Wednesday between 4 and 6, that's a good heads up for me. And we're going to meet between 4 and 6. And because you have such a tight schedule, let's go see a house or two right now. Just so that you can get to feel, because what they say is generally not, when they walk into somewhere where they gave me other wants and needs, and I'm like, hey, this is the want and need, and they walk in, they're like, nope, I don't like that, and that, and that, and that. Then that kind of gives me a jump off point that we go and search and scour the MLS for the things they truly want. I usually try to roll in a showing. I do. And to get to know them and how particular they are. Like walking through and they're like, oh, I hate creaky floors. I know automatically that that's gonna be a thing, and that floors can be changed, right? Like,
Where they are in the process, because just like they can kind of lie about what they want, maybe they overestimate how ready they are.
yes, so this is the part, and when we're just sitting down for the 20, 30 minutes that we're getting our caffeine in us, so I make notes because I can't remember. I'm being recorded. Dang it, CRS. Can't remember. So these are kind of my notes that I take with me, and it looks it doesn't look intimidating like I'm writing down interrogation questions. I want to be particular, the name on the contract, because they might have introduced themselves as Joe, but their name is James, right? So when I'm like, Joe, is that how you want to be on the contract? Is that how we're going to be vesting once we find your home? And they usually give me whatever. That way I can get both party, if there's only two, phone and email, so that I can get other documents to them via DocuSign. While I'm talking to them and getting this information, most of the time while I'm making the appointment, I'm already saying, have you talked to a lender yet? There's so many people that assume that they already know what their budget is. So by the time that I'm meeting with them, they should have already connected with a lender so that we can start talking about budget. If they have not, sometimes I bring my lender with me and they do a quickie while we're talking. Just a quick little pre-approval, nothing concrete, just so that they can kind of give us at least a path for us to start. So I ask about their lender. Then that brings us to the price and budget. And then, new home buyers, they don't know anything that they don't hear from other people. So I just make them very aware of the cost of buying upfront, because some people are like, I didn't know I had to have down payment. I didn't know I had to have earnest money. And then they're like, inspections, why would I want to do that? So I have a little soft, the cost of buying in there. It's just a breakdown of, you're gonna want to do an inspection, and you may not even like the house after you do an inspection. That's kind of just money burnt, but peace of mind. Your earnest money. Back in the day when I bought my first house in 1999, my earnest money was $250. Plan on at least 1%. It may be more, depending upon if we have competition. If we're searching in Sugar House, I'm gonna be like, we're gonna do a sewer scope. Those trees, so I'm kind of giving them just a little bit of a 10,000-foot view until we get out on the street. That's when I do the best time to show, when do you want that? And then I give them a heads up. They're gonna get an email immediately from me and the MLS inviting them so I can start their hot sheets. I don't know what they're called now. Thank you. And they were called hot sheets.
Yeah, they were.
That didn't really make sense.
No, and they're like, are you sending me porn?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on how close we get. Depends. Yes, please do.
Bought a house and was remodeling it, and I said, he sent me some pictures of the remodeling that you did, and he sent me some pictures, and I was sifting through them, there was a video, and it was like a person, and it was like from here to here, and I was like, that's weird. And I click on it, and it's this girl that starts taking her shirt off, and she's doing this jumping, dancing boob
You
thing.
sent you the wrong thing.
And it was in the middle of all of his household. I started going, laughing, sorry, 'cause he was really young, and I texted him, I go, pretty sure you didn't send me the second.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
The second one is a real interactive remodel.
Yeah, so be careful when you send pictures.
Yeah,
Your assistant?
yeah, yeah.
By day, but still.
Oh my gosh, no, I love it. And that's the good thing about your buyers, right? You get to know these people, and then after the fact, I love communicating with them after, especially if they're like, I'm gonna change this house up. I think it just goes beyond to like follow up, hey, you said you wanted to redo that bathroom, did you do it yet? Or do you need a vendor or a partner to help you out with that? So, yeah, but that's hilarious. Yeah. So then we just talk about where we're gonna be, location, what budgets are. Seriously though, getting that pre-approval before you go shop, showing them a house or two after this appointment isn't a big deal, but when you are like spinning your wheels and they're still not talking to lenders, I just don't, don't do it. Well, they think, right? Without a pre-approval. So this is kind of where I'm like, hey, I think we should hit the street run and let's do this. Let's do my marching orders. So, because everybody is talking about this incessantly with buyers, I'm just gonna go over how I go over it. I mean, I made notes. I don't give them this because I do feel like once you read this, it is so lawyer lingo heavy that it's intimidating. And unless you're doing this every day, you don't know what all this is. So when I'm doing it with them, you know, I said, every document that you sign with me, I'm gonna explain everything. Probably too much information, but I have to. So the 2 rows. So the first one is the lawyer lingo. The next one is the next. So the first section is who's in this agreement. And I always say the brokerage, right? My brokerage. And I love Broker Dave. And if he retires, I've got to figure out an exit strategy myself. So, and then the buyer. And then this is where, after I've already said name for contract, I fill it in for them on that part. So they don't get all fancy on it. So I just go down, I said, let's just go down and let me translate this for you. So the terms of the agreement, it just means when this agreement expires is the date you sign it from when I put on here. It's not today's date. And I usually say, let's give it 6 months from 2017 to 2019. I could guarantee finding a person a house in 30 days. I loved saying that. So I was like, let's just see if I can do it in 30 days. I don't do that anymore. It's a different market. So I put usually till the end of the year, and until we're getting to like the last quarter, I bump it to the June 30th. So I either do June 30th or the end of December. That's just my preference. It's every like 6-ish month. 6-ish, you got me. I always put, if they are specific to Salt Lake County, I do put Salt Lake County in there, but I put located in TBD. That way I don't have to If I know they're gonna be a specific county, I do put the specific county. Yes, but TBD, I would TBD that. And I am so sorry you had a buyer that was that open. That is a huge range. Okay, and then our favorite part, the brokerage fee, and this has actually changed, so I have had to update my conversation. So the brokerage fee, who pays the agent? You are hiring me and agreeing to pay for my services. That's what this section is about. However, It has been a part of my business practice for the seller's brokerage to pay my commission based on offered BBC, which is buyer broker commission, compensation, or negotiated commission agreement between seller and buyer brokerages. In the event the seller's brokerage is not offering buyer agent compensation, and I have not negotiated in the contract of the property, there will be a signed agreement from you and I on how I will be compensated for my services. I don't work for free. You don't work for free. Nobody should work for free. That's just all you have to say. And as soon as you go, do you work, if there's any, I've never had pushback. Yes, exactly. Like, I didn't know how to pay you. Well, do you work for free? No, nobody works for free. So I am lucky enough that, the BBC has not been a problem. I have had to, for sell by owners, had to just do the commission escrow agreement and just negotiate that. That's the part of the services that I think we all are really good at, and I think this brokerage has made us really good at negotiating that. I've never had a problem, never had any pushback. I've never had to make them pay me.
So if they, and I'm looking at 2.3 here.
Which it will be, because I want to be compensated. I will not work for free.
Yeah, but what does not work for free really look like when you're negotiating with somebody where maybe, are you set at 2%? Are you?
So that's the thing is, so I always put 3% in here. I say that is, I'm not gonna ask for more. I will accept less on certain terms, but it is a base and case to case. So,
For sellers and for buyers to recognize that the only time you're not going to sell is when you're running into a buyer and for a loan that pays the seller that allows us commission. So the reality is when a buyer gets pushback, buyers have typically always shared the costs of sellers and buyers' engagement commissions. Because without a buyer, there's no sale. Without a home to sell, there's no sale. So the reality is when a loan is produced, commissions have already always been built into that price point.
yes.
And it doesn't matter where it's coming from. At the end of the day, the buyer, you are paying, the seller, you are paying.
Right.
Both cover the cost.
It is.
Either side, you wouldn't have a sale.
Yeah. It's part of the equation. You can't have one without the other. Yeah. You're always paying. You're always. Right, but it's still rolled into the purchase price amount.
And if you look at, when you do a comparison for a client, and you run the numbers for them, and you talk to enough appraisers, they will tell you, if the subject property is only paying 2%, and you're comparing it against properties that sold at 3%, you are not getting full value because you are not paying full agent commissions. Therefore, your home, 2%, is not worth the same value as the other properties on the market. It's full, 3, and 3%.
Right.
So my question is, when it comes from 2.3 here, and you're saying that's a brokerage is offering.
So that's what it says now, that there will be a separate agreement that me and the buyer will sign and come into an agreement of compensation that they will pay outside of closing, if you will.
When do you do that agreement, is my question. Like, I'm the buyer, so when do we sign that agreement? When do we know how much I have to come out of pocket?
I will rip my arm off before I have to do that. I feel like I am, there's just conversations, and the other agent on the other side isn't just a listing agent. They obviously are buyer agents too. They know. I've just never had a pushback, even with a for sale by owner. They're actually, the 3 that I've done in the last year and a half, they're grateful that they're only handling one agent, if you will, and paying half of the commission. Do you know what I mean? Like, most people that are doing for sale by owner know enough that I didn't have pushback.
I've seen the buyer's commissions come down
So if I saw one that's only 4,000.
And-
it's like-
one 1,400.
Well,
So.
I
so when
saw
it
that back with that one brokerage that still has 2 billboards left, but
so when it comes to that, I guess my question is, where do you actually draw the line? They're offering no compensation at all to a buyer's agent, and they really want the house, is that when you say, remember that agreement I mentioned between you and I, that compensate me? We can talk about that now. And, they're like, whoa, I have to come up with $10,000 for your commission now? mean,
I believe that's still part of like before the finance deadline. You're still negotiating in that contract until that last little bit of the finance and appraisal deadline. And that's where you would know at that time whether you're getting compensated or not by BBC or an already drawn up escrow agreement, right? So that's when you're still negotiating for your compensation, the work that you have done, whether it's with your buyer or still rolling in trying to get concessions even, right? And making your buyer aware that you're asking for this concession to pay for your commission. It's just part of that section. That's where I would do it.
The BBA actually already does it for you, BBA says you're open regardless.
Yeah, it says that you will agree to sign a separate agreement.
The BBA says you have to sign a separate agreement.
It says that there will be, if this doesn't happen and this doesn't happen, that you are agreeing that you will sign a separate agreement for compensation.
Now, is that an addendum to the?
Yes, yes. I think it is. It said new May 6th.
Will increase the purchase price too if there's not enough.
And I have done that. I've increased the purchase price to compensate. But if it does, then you're like, but even if it doesn't, the escalation of your services and paying, I mean, people are overpaying for houses again, right? So it's just, I think just making sure that you're protecting your buyer, but educating them on it.
You ever thought about just telling them we're not gonna go see a house?
No. No, I've shown a house where the BBC was $500. I didn't know it at the time, and we made an offer on it, and when I was looking at everything, I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, wow, I've probably,
Before you go see it.
I don't talk to my clients if about the BBC. I just don't.
How did you handle that when it was 500 you were writing?
So we did an escalation clause at that time, because it was a multiple offer. We did so much over appraiser, and then did buyer, I have the lingo, something to the effect of to cover over appraised value and buyer agent compensation of, I think I did 2%. I did. But we didn't get it. Yeah, we didn't.
Someone else wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So again, though, like, and I get it's unethical to do that, but it's one of those things where you see a home that's offering 500 and they really, really like it, and you say you don't talk about the BBC,
Not in,
wouldn't it be a duty to let them know, hey, this is one of those ones where we're gonna have to look at you compensating?
well, yes, but I don't let them know until they fall in love with it, right? Because I don't want the almighty dollar of me coming between them really liking a house. For me personally,
I don't know, I just feel like you get in front of it first, they know that that would be the situation going into it, and rather than having them fall in love with it and then tell them.
yes, it does.
But if you're always going to depend
I know, but for
Yeah.
the client, it's a matter of perception.
To be honest, half the time, more than half the time, I don't look at it, I don't look at the compensation when I'm doing tours. It's a rarity that I do until I'm looking at it and they're asking me more questions and then I notice. But yeah, I do notice there's a lot more 2.5s.
That's the
Slay them,
difference
though.
too between somebody who has a lot of deals for it and somebody who doesn't. You know?
Some of them might absolutely love the house and they're like, it's worth it for them to pay.
Yes, that's exactly it. Like, I love this house, I'll pay 50 grand over. And I'm like, great, well, I can snuggle in some commission on that too.
And you don't really know until you're in the place, it's pictures of TV.
Yeah.
So getting them in front of it and then maybe it's worth it to them, maybe 15,000.
In a general whole, I don't make something a problem that isn't a problem until it's a problem. Okay, so then I keep going through it, and it goes way quicker than what we just did. Just kidding. The protection period, I usually put 0 months. If I can't get my job done in the amount of time that I said I would get it done, good. Go find an agent. Sayonara. Well, if I've shown them 100 houses, it expires and they go with another brokerage and another agent the next day and make an offer on a house that we've seen twice, I probably not, I've never had it happen. I wouldn't know about it until I saw it. Do you? I usually, it's 0 to 2. It's 0 to 2 for me. If it's a friend of a friend of a friend of a referral, I don't know them very well, but if I have broke bread with them, I've held their baby.
Oh, no, I take that opportunity to say, hey, I always say 3 months, but maybe 3 months on yours.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the favorites with
Ooh, okay. I like that. I make them feel like they're my favorite, though.
I make them feel like that.
Yeah. So the buyer,
Can't they also fire you and go
yes,
in the next day and
yes.
say no?
There is this document that you have to have Dave sign and me sign. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So I have only fired once. Never been fired. I've only fired once. Never been fired. Yeah, never been fired. So I've only fired one buyer before, and it's because I was getting psychopathic texts and calls from the girlfriend saying, leave my boyfriend alone, quit dating my boyfriend. And I'm like, you're there most of the time when I'm showing home, so.
What a weirdo.
So yeah, it was better for me just to, it was her. The next section, the next section is, this is the one and only document that you have signed that looks and says all these things, that you don't have an open contract with anybody else. Have you signed this before in the last month or 2, week, whatever? No, I've never seen this before in my life. Great, let's keep going. And then number 5, the duties of the buyer's agents. I say these are my marching orders. And I always kid that if, the stars align and I get to go on vacation while you're house hunting, that there is agents in my office that can show you homes, represent you. My broker is available, and we work as a team, as a whole brokerage to represent you. The second part is, if I'm lucky enough to have a listing that is perfect for you, that now puts me in a limited agency, and it's going to be a different document, and we'll go over that whole thing again, but it basically says that my fiduciary duties go into a boring mediation, and I'm not loyal to one or more. I just have to be factual and give you guys information, and I have to just be super transparent. Or I can give you to another colleague, and we can go that avenue if you prefer.
If I have the perfect miscommunication, it's just a great way to say that.
Yeah,
It's always complicated to be like, so, here's what would happen.
right.
The buyers want to
Yeah, it is. It's like, bam, there, let's go. But again, ethically, I am all about win-win. The pendulum will never swing harder to the one or the other people. If this person gets this, that other person better be just the same. And then the professional advice. I always kid and say, I'm not a doctor, I play one on TV. Just kidding. It basically says, I am a realtor. I study statistics, the real estate market. I love decor, design, home, commercial buildings. I've been doing it for over 20 years, very versed in it. I am not a plumber, not an electrician. There is a leaky faucet. I'm going to say that faucet's leaky. It could just be it needs to be turned off. Call a plumber. They're the professionals. I will give you all the people. Don't listen to me. If I say that house is leaning, call an engineer. But I will point out things for that I have seen just in my passings. But again, please know that I am not a plumber. Because I don't know how they do it, because changing a faucet, back bending, done that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, how are they getting in there? Actually, I did get charged for an access fee because he had to call somebody else. He couldn't fit in the crawl space.
Oh, forget that.
So he
He,
charged you
for,
Did you pay it?
well, the work was already done. I didn't know that he couldn't get in it, and he had to call a colleague to get into the crawl space.
Ridiculous. Yeah. However.
However, I did not use that company again. Okay.
Access fee, pay for their gym membership.
I know. I think it was like $250.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a hard lesson learned. Hard lesson learned. And I didn't want to make him feel bad because at the same time, he was a big guy and I didn't want to fat shame him. I was just like, because at first I didn't understand what it was. Like, did you have to drill open another opening? And he's like, no, I couldn't get into the crawl space. I had to call a colleague to, and I was like, oh,
token little guy.
We had to throw the girl in
oh, okay.
Pay for another seat on the bus.
Yes, $250 for that second tech to come out. Yeah, lesson learned. If you, anyways, we're gonna talk about equal housing opportunity after that one. Just kidding.
Always ask for your text message.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, number 7, dispute resolution. I always say in the instance that we have a dispute, that we go to mediation and kiss and make up. Otherwise, see Section 8. And this one is if, I always say, if you sue me and I win, you pay everything. If, vice versa, whoever is the winner doesn't have to pay anything. And then that's the first part of that, of the attorney fees. And then it says that you agree to get communication in regard to anything real estate. Like I can't sell you or talk to you about cars, but you're agreeing that I can give you services that are real estate related, home warranties, inspections, all that fun stuff. And then I love this, and I make this very clear because on my listings, oh my gosh, I gotta go change that. That your earnest money will be held at my brokerage in a trust account till the day of closing or when this expires, whatever comes first. I'm a firm believer of earnest money here because it's easier to get released. And then they're like, what's earnest money? And this is my roll-in, like you're really in it to win it, want to buy a house, and you're going to secure it with some money. It's still your money. It'll still go to your bottom line, but earnest money. Well, yeah. I've never lost earnest money either. So pride myself on that. Attachments. So I generally get this signed. I don't bring all of the other paperwork, so I put no, there are no other attachments. But then I tell them they're gonna get a half a dozen documents via DocuSign. I will do another, like a layman's terms of what you're signing, but call me if you wanna go over it. It's all disclosure information to protect you and our agreements. That's why it says no to, like, I mark no attachments. Equal housing. I'm kind of rude about this. I feel like it should be obvious. And I just did research this 2 years ago. No, maybe it was during the pandemic, because I was having to explain over the phone. This was only enacted in 2009, which shocking to me. Enacted. So it was part of law in 2009. It was something, it was a disclosure, but it is part of law 2009. I know. So that's why it changed everything after the crash in 2008. There was just so much stuff that there was lawsuits of discrimination and all this other stuff because it was just a disclosure. It wasn't a law at that time. Wow. I know. So anyways, I feel like it should be this, it shouldn't even, it's just to protect against discrimination, in particular to fair housing. So that's what I say about this. Dave has a good story, or not a good story, that he was showing homes to a couple, and he was in Rose Park, and they were like, well, I don't want neighbors like that. And he's like, yeah, we're done. I don't do business with people that discriminate. And that was, I loved hearing him, yeah, we're done showing homes. won't work for you anymore. And yeah, I'm gonna go have a smoke break now.
Back, I'm gonna blow smoke in your face.
Yes, yes. So number 12 is the electronic transmission. I just explained to them that a wet signature is just the same as me sending them DocuSign. Due on sale. So this has to do with seller financing. And I always am like, if we can find a seller financing deal, that's gonna be so fabulous. Awesome, but it's gonna take more of a paragraph for me to explain what due on sale is. So I always say it has to do with seller financing. If we find a deal that's seller financing, we will go into detail on exactly what due on sale means. The entire agreement, that this and the half a dozen forms that are gonna come to you, DocuSign, is our agreement that I work and am loyal to you, and I'm ready to go find a home. The effective date, so this is the shotgun, where we hit the line, clock starts on the agreement. Finish your drink, let's go find a house. That's more of the buyer presentation. That's the most boring part, I feel, with buyers. I always make notes or record something, and as I'm showing homes, this is where I build in my head what the client gift is, the closing gift, being personal with them. I have in here, so when I'm showing homes, I take my folder and put it in my car. And I learn things on the way and then hurry and write it down when I get in the car. Birthdays, pets, children, anniversary, anything that's important they don't stop talking about. Like they mastered the focaccia bread baking. I'm gonna write down focaccia, team focaccia. And that's my closing gift ideas. So I kind of have an ongoing just list of things that I'm, just so, and when I write it down, I usually remember it. And then my post-close with my buyers, I hurry and do this quick thing because our database is the last thing that gets touched, always, right? We work so hard with these people. Go in and put these little tidbits in your database so that you know. All that work you just did with them, take that 5 minutes and just plug all that crap in. I've learned that the hard way. Yeah, you know. Oh, yeah. So the other important thing with buyers, they're gonna buy again. People aren't holding on to their houses long anymore. 3 to 5 years, like some people are calling me 2 years later, hey, how much equity do I have? And I'm like, oh, cool. And it's because of the follow-up and making sure that they remember me and the experience they had. So I send them so they get a good piece of mail on the day of closing or a couple days before so that they have, this is one of their first pieces of mail with their information on. Yeah, there's tons of them. This is just happy new home. And then, yes, welcome home.
So it's like the first piece of mail that they get.
Yes, welcome home. Yeah, just anything that is a inside joke or, you know, hopefully you did get this piece of mail if you didn't forward it, if I didn't give you the instructions at closing. I think just being authentic and mirroring your buyers is how to keep them and just not have any competition with it. My biggest struggle is the analysis paralysis they're having right now, right? Like, because of the rates. That's why if you haven't gone to the seller financing classes, almost every offer that I've been almost making or whatever, I'm like, would they be open to seller financing? I think that's just a great tool to help our buyers because rates, they're not great. Yes, they are the average over the last 30 years. It's still not palatable, even though you say that. There's,
The thing I don't like about that is that, okay, 7% on a $700,000.
your payment's $6,000. Right. Oh,
Oh, they were the same, they're less than they were, you know, however many years ago.
Yeah, but you could buy a house for $150,000.
yeah.
I bought my first house for $128,000.
That's about what mine was. So it's just a different time, and we just have to not make it a big deal. Even though I think it is a big deal, and I walk into a house and I'm like, this is a $500,000 house, it doesn't even have flooring. I keep those comments to myself, even though I am surprised at the market every day. It's surprising to me. But, so the rates and, no, she doesn't. So rates and programs, right? So get with your lender. One of the coolest ones that I've gotten two very young couples, 23 and 24, and the 26 and 27, the new construction under 450. So that 20,000, yes, they have to pay it back, but how are they ever going to get into home ownership without it?
I just heard on that one, from my lender, that they said on that $20,000 construction loan, that if they, refinance it before they have a lot of equity, then they don't have to pay the full amount.
Exactly. So if they refinance next year, then, and they have only gained like 10,000 or 15,000, they only have to pay back that difference
Well, if they keep
of
it
equity.
for a certain amount of time,
No.
they'll have to pay it.
Yeah. If you sell, but you can refinance and only pay the equity difference.
Just don't ever sell, then you won't have to pay it back.
Well, most of these new entry construction are going to be townhouse styles, right? Like some people grow out of them or just keep it if they allow rentals. Yeah. It's free money. Yes, they won't get that first step without it. Right. And Brant just did a class of grants. I know, I wasn't a part of it, but I asked him to send me the slides. There's like a dozen solid grants right now. But yeah, the rates. Does anybody else have like tricks about the rates and helping our buyers? And I think sellers are very open. I haven't had that one that says no.
Promoting all of these permutations and possibilities, like, are they only buy at 67 days, or what if the cost is 7.5?
Right.
What is their limitation? Are we looking at paying essentially?
So that's the thing too, is spinning your wheels as the agent, because I'm spinning my wheels right now, is they first qualified for 750. They now are about 670, right? So, but they still have the taste buds of, yeah. Oh. And so I'm writing disgusting offers that it's hard for me to email it. I'm embarrassed, and I know that they're going to be like, you just lowballed me 80 grand and it's on day one. So yeah. No, not anymore. There was a come to Jesus this weekend, and I was getting ready to fire her.
Wow, that would have been the second one.
It would have been the second one. It would have been the second one. So yeah, there's a difference between being kind and flexible, but a waste of time. We know what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. When we're pushing lines that are so far down the mileage that they're not even gonna counter, right? Like I got an offer on my cute little condo that's $275. Somebody offered $190. And then they put in the notes, if this will insult your sellers, please don't present.
So it's insulted me, why?
I mean, I'll give them a good verbal of what you sent over.
Do you ever give the agent a call first and just say, here's what we're thinking?
Oh, I've never blindly sent an offer. I make sure that they become my best friend before I send the offer.
So when you do that, and you tell them what's coming, and they say there's no chance.
I didn't ever prepare for those ones. I just got to know what they needed, obviously, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not writing anything they need. But no, I communicated with the agent. She needs some costs, is what I presented with. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna wait till the end of the weekend to see if we get a normal offer.
Yeah, the normal offer. I'm like, why'd you go ahead and say
Sane
that?
offer.
Fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, I think that's our dire problems right now.
Rates, when we all have our preferred lenders, right? But there are some brokers out there that are trying to ramp up business and are taking huge cuts on their compensation to get them pricing.
You get paid, it's gonna pay for it down the road somewhere, and
They do, but.
I think some of the credits that brokers have held on to from last year and the year before, they still have some of these fun little nuggets that they're holding on to and giving it to some of these buyers. But yeah, a lot of the lenders and brokers are taking it.
Some of them are getting anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 on savings.
Yes.
So you could shop out for 1%.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is what I'm having to do for these days.
Yeah. And then I want to go over, you say you don't have any buyers. Are you doing anything to get buyers? Do you want to get buyers? You do? No. So I've never cold call. Okay, no. 6 years ago, oh yeah, SOI. So I am SOI and referral based only. I cold called tons of ways.
She was in,
With a feather.
Yeah.
she was in mortgage
Yeah.
before she was in this, so didn't you get a lot of your people from there?
From what?
From being in mortgage?
Yeah, so I've been in mortgage, commercial, title, and appraisal. So I have quite a bit of like just angles where I don't have to cold call.
Plus she's married,
Uh,
plus she's married to the sister of the mayor of South Salt Lake, so she knows all the.
So no,
I'm not saying that you don't work.
yeah, no,
I'm just saying that-
I go to a lot of gatherings. I network a lot, and you could call them parties or networking. I feel like I am the equivalent of a crackhead looking for crack. So if I'm in a group of people, I don't know how it happens, my body just does it, but I just start talking about buying homes. And then there's somebody in a circle that's like, I've been thinking about buying a house.
You're likable.
Yeah, I don't even mean to sometimes. You know, going to a restaurant and the waitress says or does something, and I don't know how I say it, but I'm like, well, we lived in Louisiana. And she's like, I just moved here, but just renting. And I'm like, bing! It's just all about opportunity. So if you don't have any buyers, this is the don't have to do anything to do it. Just seize opportunity. Opportunity. That's all. Like, I get the cold call. It's not for me. But it's just opportunity. Just talk.
Yeah, but your mindset of like, first of all, seeing the opportunity and then having no hesitation to, you're already out with it
Yeah.
before you're even in.
Yeah, I am.
But she does it in a soft conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel pushy about those.
Yeah, like I did an estate sale, and I got 3 leads from it, just from people coming into it and saying, so wait, you're doing the estate sale, aren't you the realtor? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, I've been searching in the internet, the prices. And I'm like, have you looked in person? And then that just rolls together, and it's seamless. If the connection isn't made for us to even have the conversation, it's gonna feel pushy.
And my mindset sucks. I'll be the first to admit that.
Yeah, just,
Have you ever thought about if you did make cold calls, how much further your business would go?
so to be completely honest, I was so busy last year that I don't want that. And I do like the time that I spend with each client. I feel like it's more fulfilling to have quality than quantity. Yes, does everybody want more money? Yeah, but I still think a good living can be made by, yeah,
If you're not stressing that you're getting better quality service.
yes,
Friends, like she gets
But that's how she gets
top
her.
quality service.
That's how she
yes.
gets her.
Like, the only client they might happen, but they don't.
That is a review. I have a couple reviews on Google that say I felt like I was the only one. And that means a lot to me. It does. If you just treat them how you want to be treated and be completely honest, but educate them too. I feel like it's so important to educate, not only about the market, but homes alone. If you aren't telling them, change your air filter, like doing those little things that are kind of mama henning a little bit, but educating them, I'm just giving you this big building, now what do you do with it? As you're going along, yeah, just to help them feel like they are the professional of their own house.
And like you notice the details, I just have to know you're on top of it.
Yeah, so when I'm touring homes too, right, because we go with inspectors so often, we see so many things. I always tell them, please look at the house, see how you feel in it, see if the structure makes sense for you, but I'm gonna go around and just kind of look at the things that I see in inspections go wrong all the time. Just so that you can go through with your, I love this house, but I'll go through and just say, oh, in the inspection, if we go through with this, let's just check that out. Let's just make a note and ask him. It's not a problem, it's not a problem, but I just noticed that a lot. You know, the sparkly ceilings. And I'm like, just don't lick it. They're like, what? I'm like, asbestos, don't lick it.
Can I say something
Mhm.
that I learned from you, from Liz's, and from Linda's? The main thing, main reason to sit down and do a buyer agreement, you know, a buyer appointment, is to go over everything ahead of time, and so there are no surprises later on, because you've already gone over that information.
And that's kind of where I made the papers loose in this. Right.
Yeah, and it also helps you out because when things do change, like a month or so down the line, hey, remember that buyer consultation we had and you told me this, this, and that, so
Then
that's
they're
changed
prepared
now?
for anything.
Yeah, so I didn't want to put this in the buyer guide necessarily because I do think this will probably be shredded by the time they get home. But these are the loose ones that I kind of, if they've never bought a home before, it's the 10,000 square foot view of the whole thing. Put simple, but know that it's a lot, right? It can be overwhelming, and I'm going to hold their hands the whole way there and let them know that. That they're not, I mean, there is no dumb questions. And generally, when you ask me a question, it reminds me to remember that or to look into it. I love it when I learn something from my buyers.
I like to go over like I see with them while I'm with the buyer broker, so it's the first time they see it in front of the car.
Right. And we're rushing because we're like, everything's got to be in by 5.
You're like, you guys, you're not gonna remember any of this, but here's a couple, here's how this kind of fits together.
Yeah, and once I think they see one or sign one, I say it's all a plug and play, right? Everything is the same, it's just the numbers and the dates that are really changing, but they're important. And just the relationship, some buyers like their lender, right? So I then connect with the lender and then go to them. If they're in the valley, I will go to them so that they know I am on the streets with their people. If I don't know the lender, I want that lender to send me deals, right? So if I show that I am in it to win it, come to meet you. Is there anything like a sideboard that isn't too much information, but I want to make a good an offer? What's leverage? Because I usually tell my buyers, I don't want to know about your finances. The important stuff is your down payment, the cost of the upfront stuff, but I feel like that makes me the fun part of the team if I don't know the finances. So I ask the lender, what's my leverage? What can I play with?
I like how you mentioned your strategy about having a friend you feel is your best friend, because that's where I went to from the second I call them, or if I meet them at an open house, I'm working that angle, so that if my clients do decide very well related,
Yeah.
then I'm like, hey, remember me, I was that girl in the hat, because I was looking for a hat, that said this random weird shit or whatever, and then they're already like my friend, and then of course social security on that, and usually accept our offer in a local offer situation, because they know that we're gonna get fun.
Or they'll tell you how to win.
Yeah, they'll tell you what's
They'll
going on.
tell you how to win. Kathy Maxfield with one of the other brokerages. I love doing the deal with her. Every time she'd call, she's like, hey, friend. I already was maybe calling with bad news, but she toned me down immediately, and I was like, oh, hi, friend. I got good news and maybe some bad news. But yes, being an honest and eliminating drama, right? Because there always seems to be some spikes of it. If you can make resolution or simmer it down before you have to call, I always do that. Or say, hey, let's talk about this I'm not just gonna boss you around, tell you what I want. Let's have a mastermind about this problem. What do you think? If I'm at loss, right? I'm like, I don't know how to keep this deal alive. How are we gonna do this? And then they feel like you are together instead of battling each other, right? I feel like there's been a couple times where I'm like, God, it's just obstinate and they just don't, there's nothing on the other end. They just want to fight. I hate that. It is the worst.
It doesn't do a win-win. They're not in up for the win.
If you don't wanna be a stressed out agent, don't act like stressed out.
Exactly.
And then it will
Yes,
come back at you.
exactly.
If you don't have your energy.
They do. They do.
I like to sing random weird songs and stuff in the house. So
Yeah.
they're like off their game, and they're like, oh wait, what?
Just
Lower
making sure.
appraisal? Okay, fine, we'll give it to you. Could you sing a song?
I got friends in low appraisals.
I mean, don't take my strategy.
That's like that drunken master fighting style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not smart, they don't know what to do.
What's
Like,
going
okay,
on?
fine, we'll give you everything.
Yeah, you can have it
Tell me
all.
another joke.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the culture here too. I think that we all are bred like that in this office. So when I see that I'm going to go show a house if somebody's listing here, I'm like, okay, let's hope they love it. I love doing deals in our office. Oh,
I had a buyer that wanted one of theirs.
way to go. Pricing it right. So I think we covered everything. Out of curiosity, in the last 9 months, what has been the highest concession that you have got for your buyer? What for? Was it repair concession or?
It was actually used on some time for the foot.
Really? It was used for that, but the reason for the ask, was it for that?
So, a unique situation, the place had been on the market for 156 days.
Okay.
It was late November when we made the offer. We wanted to, well, first of all, this is what they had to have to buy this house.
Right.
So I called the agent and said, this is exactly what my clients need to buy this house. And he was like, okay, send it over.
Mhm.
And they really needed to get it off this investment company books by the end of the year.
Okay.
So all they countered to clean up with the dates, and they're good with it.
Beautiful. Okay. I really do like that. I mean, that is a lot. That's a good one. That's a good one. And it was based on maybe some concessions and like the reason of repair? Okay.
Since probably September, almost every single buyer and seller I've done, which I've done on the phone,
Yeah.
have had concessions.
Yeah, I feel like that is such a norm. My last 6-ish transactions, I have not had a
I
concession.
feel like you might as well ask because they're prepared for it.
I agree.
As a listing agent, I always prepare my clients, like they're probably gonna ask for this, and you are probably gonna ask for under buy.
Right.
So just know that that might happen.
Have you noticed that houses, and obviously they are, because they were built a long time ago, that houses are feeling like they're falling apart a little more. I feel like inspections are finding certain things that I'm like, gosh, that's more than wear and tear. Is it a bad build? Is it what's going on? And I just went to Paris 6 months ago, and those buildings are thousands of years old, and they're still standing. So I liked that I went to somewhere so old when we walk into a 1960 house, and they're like, gosh, this is old. And I'm like, no, we're fine. We're still in this century. We're still in this century.
Even on the East Coast, there's houses that are 300 years
Exactly. I just feel like some of my buyers, I guess for me, they just are like, the houses are falling apart and they're so shabby. And I mean, yes, they're getting older, and I guess I'm noticing it a little more.
Maybe they're feeling that way too because the prices are inflated. So they're like, I'm paying this much for that.
That's exactly it too.
Are you referring to cosmetic things?
Some, but like, I've noticed a lot of like sloping driveway, like structural things. You know, the eaves on a, yes, thank you. I've just noticed there's just a lot of wear and tear times a lot, I guess. And so I'm just like, is this a common thing? My buyers saying, I can't believe I'm paying $250,000 for something I still have to improve. To improve these things? Maybe. I just feel like I've kind of entered into a pocket of crappy homes.
Well, I haven't had a buyer in a long time, but I showed houses for third, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, and she was looking 650 to 675.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the pocket of crap.
Oh, God,
That's what,
I was just shocked how crappy they were.
it's really weird, but as soon as you get up to like 700, it's okay. But that pocket of like 625 to 675, right, that keeps you in that lower,
But even
under jumbo.
because I get listing alerts
Mhm.
from like houses, townhouses, you know, just so that I can fix them.
Mhm.
And I saw one the other day that was like 600, that was tons nicer than those 675 ones.
I've noticed that too. There was a cute house that I showed in West Valley, and I was like, gosh, if this was on the East Bench, this would be $1 million home. I was shocked. It was a house with a pool in the backyard and everything. It was so cute. I was just like, how,
Neighborhood okay?
I mean, ish, yeah. It was, I mean, it was cleanish, yeah. But, you know, the disdain that sometimes those zip codes get, and I was just like, if it was seriously just thrown up there, it's just crazy what, which each market changes drastically.
Contract on a $275,000 house with zero down, top housing, and we got 5,000 in closing costs.
Do you have another client that's in that?
Repairs right now. Sorry?
Do you have another buyer that is that price point?
No, like,
Okay. Yeah, I have a 2-bed, 1-bed, 1-level condo.
but does it allow pets?
Yes.
Where is it?
Yeah. There, I mean, it, in the HOA, it does say there's a weight limit, but there was a German Shepherd being walked, a Husky, and a cute little Pitman. Like 27 South and like 3,500 West. It's like on the outskirts of all the industrial. And I did open house and 2 people came through. And I think it's because it's the area that it was in. There's not a lot of just people driving. It's, if you live there, that's where you're gonna be. It's not a flow of traffic. So it's super quiet. It's so quiet. It's super cute. What do you do for your buyers that need credit repair or finance help?
First thing I do when I talk to my buyers, like if it's a new buyer, is I say, have you pre-approved? And if it's not, which is 9 times out of 10, I say,
Yeah.
well, let me connect you with my lender, she's awesome. She can help you get started, and maybe it's like a 6-month out kind of thing.
But you let your lender babysit and nurture that?
I'm like, unless you need to do some credit repair, maybe she'll do that, so then I connect them to there, and we're co-branded. So then she works them, keeps mentioning my name full time, my pictures on everything. So she finesses them. I check in every so often with the client, but then I wait until they figure stuff out, and then it comes back to me, and then we just figure out what that's about.
Do you set them up on hot sheets or anything to tease them with the market so that they can kind of educate? Okay. Yeah, I just, because if it is a 6-month, that stresses them.
Market by the time we're ready, that's what I say.
Well, and it stresses to them to not wait. It motivates them because if they see a price difference between last summer to this summer, they're going to be like, I should have bought last year.
But I think the best thing I ever did for my career when it really like started to take off was when I connected with the letter.
Yes.
That I teamed up with, and we both fight hard for each other, and we have similar personalities.
Mhm.
We actually went to high school together randomly, and so we work the angle similarly. So they feel so protected, and then my title company comes in, and they kind of joke around them too. But we're really super good at what we do professional, but we try to make it enjoyable at the same time. But because there's a team of us, like nobody wants to fire me. There's no questions. There's no pushback. There's no nothing. It's just tell me what to do and go.
Yeah. No, and I do think with the buyer side that you do have to make it more of a team camaraderie to know that you're the quarterback and you're gonna get them to the,
Yeah, and then I always have the lender call, we submit an offer, call right away, shoes, everything as well, so we're tag teaming those shoes.
Where do you guys see rates? I kind of thought when you said you were coming down 6 months ago, I thought we were about
After the election.
and I feel like we were misled or we were just making things up to take a little long.
Well, it's because of inflation.
agree with you too. I don't think, I mean, historically around election, they go down, but that doesn't help our purchase prices either, though. I don't know if there's really a win-win with it because I hope they do.
The last thing I heard from my lender.
They will not get lower than 6.5, I think, by the end of the year. I think 6.5 will be the luckiest that we see, I think, and then what all the other,
I think that's, I guess, would you handicap that as maybe by the end of the year or just that more so maybe now?
by the end of the year, we will not see less than 6.5. If we're lucky, we'll get down there, but I don't see it going lower than 6.5. And so I just let everybody, just get used to 7. Lucky number 7.
Finance later if you get lucky.
Get
but
lucky
also
number
get
7.
more expensive the longer you get. That's what I would tell them. So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your interest rate is, if you pay more for the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't change the price of the house, is what I was telling them. Price of the house is the price of the house for the loan.
But there is stuff happening in the world. There's wars. There's just stuff happening, right?
Right. But I'm just saying, like, remind them that, like, they'll pay more for the house over the life of the loan no matter what the
Right.
interest rate is.
Right. But yeah, I too am struggling with the conversation of a $5,000 payment, right? So one of my clients, cute, single female, one income house, she can handle $5,000, but I know, it's very humbling for me. But at the same time, I always say to her, let's find a place that does have income potential too, whether it just be an Airbnb, a roommate, making sure that there are some safeguards with a single, something, because $5,000, that's a hard pill to swallow, and so you want to be supportive, but also make them a homeowner, but don't pressure them, but at the same time, it could get worse, and if it gets better, then you refinance, right? So that's, yeah,
Just take your chances now, because you never know what's gonna happen.
your people that are ready for an upgrade, so they're sellers, but they're buyers. What tactic has been successful in this market too? Because they have a house to sell, their payment's $2,500. They want to upgrade, and it's going to be double that. How are you keeping them on track and focused on a higher payment? Yes, it'll probably be a bigger, better house, but how do you have your people that are ready? What are you saying to those people?
I'm having a conversation about, hey, you have to sell first in order to buy.
Okay,
Or can you repass afterwards?
okay, right. I don't want to make you homeless. Okay, because I have a couple that are very on the fence, and I'm just there to help and support. But yes, is the house they're in fine, good, great? Yes, their house payment's $2,500. Educating them that they could be a seller finance and make a little more money too. But getting them that payment and adjusting for that, even if they recast or whatever, doubling their payment when they don't have to, they want to. So once they sell their house, the lump sum that they will get from it, they will put on their new loan, and it will redo their terms at that lower payment because of the price.
It's a way lenders can make it so that you can buy a house before sell, buy your new home before selling.
You do have to have 10% down.
Did your buyers?
They have equity, yeah, they all,
100,000 or?
at least, yes. No,
Because that
250,000 on one of them, right? And that's where I'm like, that's a good chunk. Let's do that and do that. And there's a lot of strategies, but at the end of the day, the way that you live when your payment's only this, and the way that how do you live the same way with a bigger house? So everything changes with it. You have a bigger house, a bigger why, okay.
So, recently this happened with me where it was a couple that had been recently married, and now they're, whether or not they actually told me, it was clear that they were gonna start. And so that kind of jumps the gap of like, they don't wanna pay more, but at the same time they would move, and they're just sort of, that's a bigger why than the fear of the payment.
Okay, I like that. Thank you for reminding me of that, the big why. I always call it a pain point, but the why is so much more powerful, right?
It's gotta have mass and gravity as a future thing that doesn't exist that's over the forehead.
Okay. I just felt like I wasn't opening the blinds enough for them to really make the leap. 'Cause myself, I don't want to double my house payment. Well, a couple of them, right? Like they have 2 kids in each room. And they're like, yeah, like they need space, right? And so they're like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to get boxing gloves for Christmas for all of our kids because it's just out of control. They can't, and I'm like, well, let them outside. And they looked at me like, kids don't go outside anymore. And I was like, oh, you are correct. I'm sorry.
One thing my lender would do to help them in that scenario, if it's like giving a high mortgage payment, she would look at all the options of like, what can you pay off of your equity before you buy the house with that money?
Yeah.
To make it so you don't have all these other piddly bills, because she can eliminate sometimes like thousands of monthly bills.
Yeah.
And then it makes it so that mortgage payment is no big deal.
I've done that. And then you just have to wait 60 days, right? After you do some of,
She said it was only like,
well, just to,
no, she does it at closing, she pays it at closing with the money, proceeds. So she takes your chunk with it as your down payment, and then she takes whatever else and pays off all those things at closing. So after closing, your only payment is your mortgage payment and whatever like utility expenses you have.
I like
So
that.
then there's like all of those extra like credit card payments and truck payment, car payments, all
Right.
done.
Okay.
A, you're not paying interest on those, B, you don't have those payments, C, you have all that flexible income now, and it might add up to way more, to where you actually have a ton of extra money even with a $5,000.
Right, right. So you have a little bit of a baby cushion at the end of the day.
6% interest rate for all of
Because
those bills.
that other crap is huge.
Yeah, because like, if you think about it, your credit card bill is like 24%, your mortgage rate is 6.5%.
Oh my God, that's what I'm gonna say.
So
At least the rates aren't your credit card rates.
exactly, so then your credit card rate went from 24% down to 6.5%.
Wouldn't you love a 7% credit card?
But I never had to pay back.
That you never had to pay back? Wow, that would be,
Didn't they?
yeah, it's called the lottery. Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's clearing
Yeah.
now.
But yeah, maybe try something like that.
I like that, okay.
Because they have kids too, so they
Yeah.
don't want a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Kids.
I think this summer, right? Like that, because getting through the school year and then having the bandwidth to, I don't know, so I showed them the summer camp I used to send my kid to. And they're like, we'll have to do a second mortgage just to send these 4 children to that camp. Ugh. Ooh. Ooh. You know where they came from. One and done.
I feel bad for parents now if kids don't go outside.
I have no idea. That's wild. That is so wild.
The other day, it was this video, it's like, it's a kitchen window, there's a sink, the window's open like this much, and this kid comes up to the window and goes, can I come inside now? And dad goes, no, you're grounded. And the kid goes, well, when my friends are grounded, they have to stay inside the house. And he goes, but you don't leave the house, so you're grounded, you stay outside.
That is so
And the kid's
perfect.
like, what am I supposed to do?
What am I
I don't know, pick up a rock or something and throw it. And he goes, at the neighbors?
And he's like, oh.
Now you little shit.
And then the dad goes, what are you gonna do if you come in? The kid goes, relax and play video games. And he goes, yeah, stay out there, and he closes the window.
Oh my God.
But it is sad.
Sometimes I'm happy I grew up when I did and I'm old now.
No, I 100%.
Deal with this.
I know, me too.
Get this from your lender too. I highly suggest this because sometimes I forget to say this to them.
That's what I wanted to copy.
I know my client
Sometimes they go, they're like, well, I've got extra money right now, and then they go buy cars, or they're like, they found a house and you're under contract, and they're like, find a perfect couch, but it's a $4,000 couch.
Oh, yeah, I have clients who are like, the biggest question they have in the text thread is like, can I go to RC World now? And I'm like,
Yes, and you just take a picture and make a memory board.
My T75 Ogden house, the white, the pearl, she had refinanced her car. And
Ooh,
my lender tells me, she's like, she just told me she refinanced her car. I'm like, oh my God.
yeah.
But luckily it reduced her car payment, so it actually was okay and we were fine, but like, it was just a reminder for us, we already had talked about that, but
Yeah.
just a reminder to keep
it's hard to
bringing that
think
up.
about how much I'm having.
Because that, it isn't our lane necessarily, but I think we're the first out the gate, so that conversation needs to be had, but I do forget, and that's why I put it in here.
Yeah, the first time buyers, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah, there's just so much, and I always say, it is the analogy of drinking from a fire hose, and it is gonna be overwhelming. I give them the heads up, it's gonna be overwhelming, it's actually gonna be disappointing. If we're lucky enough to get our first offer, that's fabulous. In this market, we're already in multiple offers, so I want you to find the house you love, but it's gonna be hard, and you just have to prepare yourself and know that your house is out there. I know. Well, this is the weird thing. When I printed out my layman's notes, it said color on there. So I was like, well, I don't know where the color on there, but
Would it be possible to get a digital version of this so I can like?
you make it your own? Yes. You take, yeah, no, you can copy it. I have it. I have it on Word because I had to update the broker fee and yeah, that way you guys can plug and play your own thing.
Yeah.
And like in the instance that you may not be able to be in front of them, that you can email them a ditty, right?
And I have an email template kind of version of this, but I like this for in person, so then I can hold them, right?
Yeah.
But I really would like to break this down.
It just makes it a little more approachable in my language. I just, I'm hard at scripts.
I mean, I just learned like a year ago.
I don't know.